Welcome to the Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson. I'm an anxiety coach who helps people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally. On today's episode, what we'll be talking about is how we have a hard time with change. When something new happens or there's a change happening in our lives, it makes us feel more anxious. And what most of us do is we avoid the change. We avoid the new thing because we are afraid of what's going to happen. We right away automatically think in a negative way of what things might happen, or we don't know what might happen, and that freaks us out. That makes us feel as if we have no control over the situation. And what we do is this again, we just avoid the situation, we avoid the change, and we try to stay the same. And this affects a lot because we can be in a negative situation, for example, dealing with anxiety for so many years, and we are afraid, for example, to do exposure therapy, which can help out a lot in overcoming and healing our anxiety because it reprograms our mind. But we will be afraid to try that out because it's something new, because it's a certain change, and we don't want to deal with that. It's too rocky, and right now we have so many things going on that we can't handle the change. We can't handle something new. It's too much for us. So we're going to be stuck in our situation, and if you're dealing with anxiety, you're going to be stuck in the situation if you're not willing to change. Now, I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do to just embrace change and try to do something new or try to even overcome anxiety. Of course, it's not an easy thing, but we can take certain steps to get there. We don't have to throw ourselves to change right away if we're not ready for it, of course. So what we want to do is take baby steps to get there so that we can start feeling better. I'll give you an example is that I am terrified of roller coasters. I just too much for me. Like in Six Flags in New Jersey, there is a ride over there called, I think, Nitro, or there's another one, I don't know what it's called, I think Donkey Kong. And those things, it's too much for me to handle. Like, I'm not able to right now go there and just get on those roller coasters. Impossible. I'm not going to do it right now. But what I did do is that I started to go on smaller roller coasters, things that don't go upside down or are so high. And I started to work myself up every single time, and eventually I will get to that place where I will ride the Nitro or ride the Donkey Kong because I will get there. But it took me some time to start even getting on roller coasters, and even the small ones, the ones that don't go upside down and everything, even with those. But eventually I worked on it to get there because I want to conquer this fear. I don't want it to control me. And a lot of us also, we are afraid of going someplace new or going someplace far, or something that we haven't done before, something that's not in the routine, because we are afraid of what might happen. And this is why a lot of us, we may watch the same TV show over and over again, or maybe watch the same movie because it's comfortable. It doesn't make us anxious because we don't know what's going to go on. We don't know what's going to happen. And that makes us feel anxious, and we don't want to feel that way. We don't want to feel that way. We want to avoid it. But the thing is that the more we avoid it, the more we're going to be stuck in our situation, and the more the anxiety is going to have control over us. We need to take back control from their anxiety and not let it control us. So what can we do whenever we're dealing with a situation that's changed? Because change is something that we can never avoid. The one thing that doesn't change is change. That is the one thing that never changes. So with change, it's part of life. So how do we deal with it? We need to be able to deal with it so that we can handle it and not letting our anxiety control us. Because again, we want to be in control. So what we could do whenever there's change happening is that we can be more hopeful about this situation and try to think more in a positive way of how things are going to go, and not thinking right away the negativity of what's happening. And you know what? We don't know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it. Sometimes that's the beauty of it. Some of the most amazing things that ever happen is that when things don't go according to plan sometimes. So it's pretty nice to experience that. I remember a few years ago, me and my wife, we went to Florida, and she was pregnant at that time with our first daughter. And we decided to take a little vacation to get out of the winter. And we decided to go to Florida to enjoy the sun and the warm weather. And we got stuck over there for a few days because there was a snowstorm here in New York, which thankfully I didn't experience, which was amazing. But there was a snowstorm here in New York, and we got stuck in Florida. And what happened is that we had to get a different hotel. We went different places. It was kind of like, all over the place because she was pregnant. And in the end, we had to take 2 different flights in order to get home. But I was able to stop off, I think it was in South or North Carolina, I think. Been there once, but it was like nice to see. Whenever we were landing, I was seeing like how the open fields were. And I was like, wow, that's just beautiful. There's just so much. I think it was North Carolina. And there was such beautiful fields. I was like, wow, this is so peaceful. And even the airport, it was so like calm and everything. And I was like, wow, you see, I'll never experience this if we never stopped over. Of course, it wasn't a convenience. And it was out of the plan because we were planning to stay there for a few days and ended up spending a little bit more. We had to extend it. But the thing is that we had to go according to whatever the situation was. My point is over here is that we can look at this situation differently. Yeah, I can say to myself, like, my wife is pregnant and she's having a hard time, and she wasn't having the most easiest time, of course, and she has a hard time flying, but I was trying to help her out. And it definitely was a lot for her to deal with, but we had to get home. And the only way was we had to do a stopover in North Carolina and then take another flight out to JFK, which was, again, inconvenience, but we had to look at it in a different kind of way so that we can be more positive. And of course, situations arise and it's very hard at the moment to look at it differently, but we can look back. We can stop and look back and say, hey, you know what? Let's look at the situation differently. How can we see it in a more positive way? And whenever something's happening to you in the future and we're feeling anxious, like we don't know what's going to happen, okay, how can we be more hopeful about that situation? How can we see the positivity? Or, you know what? Let's build something in our mind of how things are going to go so that we can calm ourselves down and see how that change, whatever it is, whatever's happening, we can look at it as a way of growth. Because when I was 20 years old and I first experienced an anxiety disorder, I wasn't planning this. I was not planning this. I was like, I'm going to go to college, get my degree, whatever it is, work and everything. That was my plan. But as you see, life smacked me in the face and pushed me in a different direction, and I wasn't ready for this at all. And it changed my entire trajectory of what I wanted to do. Whatever I wanted to do, and I had to adapt with it. In the beginning, it was brutal. It really was, and I was depressed, and it took a lot out of me. But in the end, over what was already 12 years since I've experienced anxiety, 9 years, but 12 years since I first experienced it, I now help other people. So if I never went through that, I wouldn't be able to help people to overcome it. So we can look at the change differently. Whenever change is happening, we can say, you know what? Okay, this change is not something that I want. And nobody likes change. Nobody likes it. People like consistency. We like the routine. We like the habits and the patterns that we're used to. And this is why we'll be stuck in a negative pattern or a positive pattern, because we like it and we're used to it and we're comfortable with it. But the thing is that whenever change does happen, and it will happen, we need to look at it in a different way so that we're able to handle the change in a more positive way, so that we can actually not let the anxiety control us and that we can be in control over our lives. That's what you want at the end of the day. That's what we need at the end of the day. Because right now, our anxiety is in control. It's hacking our mind and our body. It's hacked it, and we need to hack it back. And we need to put sometimes ourselves in situations. And again, you can take baby steps. I'm not saying to go right now and just jump off, go skydiving. That's just terrifying. But I'm not saying that, but you can take baby steps in order to get to that place of wherever you want to go. So I know a lot of people, they want to go somewhere. Like my sister, she wanted to go abroad for a year, but she's terrified and she struggles with anxiety. And she says, I don't know what's going to happen over there. What if I get sick, or what if something bad happens? My parents are not there, and she's 18 years old. And she was just getting terrified about the situation to deal with anxiety. And I told them, hey, listen, maybe we can look at it in a more positive way about this change, because she doesn't like change. Because right now, she came out of high school going into college. And even with that, she was having a difficult time because it's something new, a new environment, everything was just different, because high school and college is two different things. But whenever she wanted to go abroad, also, she was having so much anxiety that she just decided in the end not to go. But I was trying to convince her otherwise and tell her, hey, listen, you need to try to do this, so not letting the anxiety control you. Even go there for a month, 2 months, whatever it is. Try and do it so that you can overcome it, so that you don't feel like, hey, I'm not in control of my life, because that makes us feel powerless. And whenever we feel powerless, what happens? We start feeling down. We feel like we're not capable in doing things. We feel like we have no confidence. That's the thing. So what we need to do is, again, look at the change in a more hopeful way, in a more positive way, and see how the growth from the change can actually happen. And of course, it's hard. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it to happen, for that thing to happen, because your life can be different. And of course, it's like a seesaw, and sometimes you'll be up and down. But with change, the way to handle it is to look at it in a positive way, be more hopeful about it in the situation, whatever it is you're going through, and to take baby steps and start to learn how to change things that you want in your life. Whatever it is, picture whatever you want in your life and ask yourself, okay, what is it that I want? Take the smallest thing and start working on that to be able to change that so you can acquire it. And take that and take the next step and the next step and the next step so you can actually eventually get there, so that you can be in control and be powerful. If you are looking for a natural remedy in order to help you to deal with your anxiety and help you on your journey to overcome it, I created Calmly CBD, where it specifically helps you to calm down your anxiety and panic attacks. And as well, it doesn't make you feel drowsy. It doesn't make you feel sleepy. And it helps you to just feel calm, so you can actually do things throughout the day, like work, drive, go out, and do whatever you like in a more calmer state of mind, as well as not addictive or has any side effects or any withdrawals, which this way can actually help you to heal your anxiety and get you to the destination in overcoming your anxiety much quicker. You can click the link that's in the description. It would say Calmly CBD to place your order today. And then right now it's on sale for a limited time, where you can buy one and get the second one free. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because this way we're able to reach more people, and the more people that we can actually reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because my mission in this world, my purpose, is to help people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally and show them that it's possible to overcome. Thank you guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.